You wake up, you check the locks on your door, you check the expiration date on your milk, you wash your hands before you eat. Your ancestors did almost none of this. They walked for miles through open grassland where lions were watching. They ate meat that had been sitting in the sun for hours. They let their children wander near rivers full of crocodiles. By every modern rule of safety, they should not have survived. But the real answer is far stranger. The habits that look like reckless mistakes were actually the exact reasons your family line made it to you. Let's start with heat. 2 million years ago, your ancestors did something almost no other large animal on the savannah could do. They ran during the hottest part of the day. Lions rested in the shade. Cheetahs hid from the sun. Humans went hunting. Harvard biologist Daniel Lieberman has spent decades studying this. His research shows the human body is built less for speed and more for distance. Long limbs, springy tendons, and something even stranger, nearly bare skin covered in sweat glands, up to 5 million of them. That skin should have been a death sentence. No fur meant no protection from thorns, cold nights, or the sun itself. But it also meant something no other predator on the plains could do. Your ancestors could cool themselves while running. A cheetah can outsprint a human easily, but a cheater overheats in minutes. Lieberman's research on what's called persistence hunting shows early humans would simply follow an animal for hours in the heat of the day until it collapsed from heat stroke. No weapons required, just sweat, patience, and a body that refused to quit. The habit that should have cooked them alive is the same habit that let them out-endure the fastest animals on Earth. Now think about food. Modern nutrition tells you to avoid bitter plants. Bitterness usually signals toxins. Your ancestors ignored that rule constantly. Primatologist Wrangham has argued that one of the most important turning points in human evolution wasn't a weapon or a tool. It was fire, specifically the moment your ancestors started cooking food that would otherwise have poisoned or exhausted them. Raw roots, raw tubers, raw bitter greens. Many of these were barely edible without processing. Some contained compounds that blocked digestion entirely. And yet early humans ate them anyway, generation after generation, slowly learning which ones needed heat, which needed soaking, which needed to be pounded first. Why take that risk at all? Because the plants nobody else could eat were suddenly available to you. Every other animal on the landscape avoided them. Your ancestors turned a poisoned pantry into a private buffet. Cooking didn't just make food taste better. Wrangham's work suggests it may have shortened human digestion time so dramatically that it freed up energy for something else entirely, a bigger brain. The habit that should have poisoned an entire lineage is the same habit that may have built the organ you're using to understand this sentence right now. Then there's the question of exposure. You lock your doors at night. Your ancestors, for most of human history, did not have doors at all. They slept in open camps, in caves with wide mouths, sometimes literally in the grass. Big cats hunted at night, hyenas circled, and still, generation after generation, humans slept in groups, often with only a small fire between them and the dark. Anthropologist Hrdy has spent much of her career studying something called cooperative breeding. The idea that human infants survived not because parents alone protected them, but because a whole network of relatives, friends, and even non-relatives helped watch, feed, and guard children. This is unusual. Most primates keep their infants pressed close to one adult at all times. Human infants, by contrast, were passed around, held by aunts, carried by grandmothers, watched by older cousins while parents foraged or hunted. Doesn't handing your baby to someone else sound like exactly the kind of thing that gets a baby killed? And yet Hrdy's research suggests it did the opposite. Shared caregiving meant more eyes watching for danger, more hands ready to help, and children who grew up trusting people outside their immediate family. That trust in strangers, something a lion cub or a chimpanzee infant never really develops, may be one of the deepest roots of human cooperation itself. The habit that should have left infants unguarded may be the same habit that made humans the most socially connected species alive. Let's talk about violence too, or rather, the deliberate risking of it. In many hunter-gatherer societies, studied by researchers like Kim Hill and Michael Gurven, young men underwent rites of passage that involved real physical danger. Hunting animals capable of killing them, walking into unfamiliar territory alone, enduring pain without flinching in front of the group. Gurven's long-term studies of the Tsimain people in Bolivia have tracked just how dangerous daily subsistence life actually was, and still is in similar communities. Falls, animal encounters, and physical strain were common. Death from these causes was not rare. So why would any society build rituals that increase the odds of a young person getting hurt? because status in these groups was not handed out for free. It had to be demonstrated. A man who had faced real risk and returned was trusted with more responsibility, more respect, and eventually more chances to pass on his genes. The danger wasn't a design flaw in these cultures. It was the test itself. The habit that should have thinned out entire generations of young men instead became the mechanism that decided who led, who mentored, and who was trusted with the group's survival. Now consider birth itself. Childbirth in most mammals is quick and relatively low risk. In humans, it is neither. Your head, as an infant, was almost too large to pass through your mother's pelvis. This is sometimes called the obstetric dilemma, a tight, dangerous compromise between walking upright on narrow hips and carrying a brain big enough to need a wide skull.